have a proper place to sit around. So oftentimes we see it done by the devotee standing up. But ideally we're doing it sitting down. If not sitting down, if there's not like a proper asana, then we alternatively recommend just taking your right knee and going like this. One thing that's very important is also that the area that you're doing Achman is clean, free from, hair and dust and ash and all sorts of things. So the place needs to be pure. Also the dravya, the utensils, the patra, it needs to be clean as well. Sometimes I'll see in some places, particularly like with copper. Copper is one of Krishna's favorite metals. I haven't read this in Shastra, but a running joke that we have is that it's probably one of his favorite because it's the hardest to clean. It oxidizes so quickly, and so it'll go dark. The idea is everything should be polished nicely, very bright, and shiny. So, because there's no question, how do you purify yourself with something that's dirty, right? So the water needs to be clean, the patra needs to be clean, the area needs to be clean. We'll be getting into details of purity tomorrow, as I mentioned. So as it says here, pretty straightforward. Sit on a mat or other suitable sitting place. If there is no asana, kneel with your right knee touching the floor and your left foot flat on the floor, as I'm showing here. And then with the achman cup filled with fresh water, first you're going to clean both hands by just sprinkling water on each of your hands. And then you hold the achman spoon in your left hand and you just pour some drops into the right palm. And while looking at the water, the idea is you're infusing mantra into the water. That's why you're looking at it when you do it. So you're looking at it and you're infusing mantra. These are 3 names of the Lord you see here. So while you're looking at it, you chant the mantra, then you sip from it's called the Brahma Tirtha, right here. So you can make kind of like a cup and you just rest your bottom lip right here and the water will go right in. I'll show you in a moment. There's no need, when you're doing it properly, there's no need to slurp. You don't have to. It's more refined if you're able to just. And then after you do this thrice, then you clean your right hand again, and that's it. Sometimes, and many of you who have done this, sometimes you'll see those doing achman will purify their hands in between each sip. You can do that, no harm, but it's not necessary as far as we're concerned. All right, so it's also nice, especially when you're doing this on a hard floor. We forgot to get one, but you want to clean up after yourself afterwards, so you would wipe the floor. You don't want to have, because water will, from sprinkling your hands, water will end up on the floor. So it's important to clean and wipe before and after when possible. This is like a bowl we can work with. Thank you. All right, so you just simply clean both hands, right? Pick up with your left hand. Put a few drops in your right. Om Keshavaya Namaha. Like that. Om Narayanaya Namaha. Om Madhavaya Namaha. And then clean your hand. That's it. That's the simple version.
So, Prabhu, like, how about the portion to touch with your lips, because that's like dirty, right?
Normally, yes, but the response to that is because we're purifying our lips and our mouth in the water with mantra. At the very end, we cleaned our hand. I did that at the very end, but it's not necessary to do it in between each time. You'll see many will do it like that, and that's fine. And if you're used to doing that, fine. We're not saying it's not bogus or anything. It's just not necessary.
So I heard if we are eating, if we are drinking from this point, it's not required. Like sometimes people do like this. So at that time we have to clean it. We have to clean every time. But when you are drinking through Brahmarandra, so nothing is required.
Also, I mean, the way I'm doing it is like, practically speaking, there's not even any saliva on it. It's, So this is simple Achman. So at least learn to do this if you haven't already. And for those of you who are interested in the more elaborate version, you can go. If you go to YouTube and you type in Vaishnav Achman, you'll see a video with me. I'm not crazy, so my pronunciation isn't so good and all, but anyway, you'll see the mantra and mudra like that, you know. So it's the same thing. The more elaborate, you clean your hand, and Om Keshavaya Namaha, Om Narayana Namaha, Om Madhavaya Namaha, Om Govindaya Namaha, Om Vishnu Namaha, Om Shivaya Namaha, Om Vishnu Kesaya Namaha, Om Padmanabhaya Namaha, Om Namaraya Namaha, Om Vasudevaya Namaha, Om Shri Krishna Namaha, Om Gopinaya Namaha, Om Sapnam Namaha, Om Sapsukam Namaha, Om Shimaya Namaha, Om Shivaya Namaha, Om Chandraya Namaha, Om Krishnaya Namaha, Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Paragam Sada Prasyanti Surya Devi Vachakshuratam Bhati Praso Visanchito Jagrutam Sasanandate Vishnu Yat Paramam Param. So that's Vishesh. So for those of you who are inclined, you can learn this, wiggle your fingers and all that.
When we have to do this Achman before starting the puja?
In our line, we primarily do it before we start our puja. Yeah. You can do it before any spiritual activity, though. It's for subtle and spiritual purification. That's the benefit of it. So, if you'd like, you know, you can do it before, you know, reading Bhagavad Gita or scriptures. You can do it before directly doing deity worship. Do it before cooking. Any of these things. It's always good to be more purified, right? So. But in day-to-day practice, as you'll find, like the priests here and so on, we're generally doing it just before we go on the altar, or ideally going into the kitchen. And then, you know, as we may go back onto the altar later in the day, we do it again. You know, we'll say we took rest, then we'll take a shower, and then we'll put on clean cloth, and then we do it all over again.
So Prabhu, like for every Bhoga offering and before Aarti we will do, and for every Bhoga offering during the day, do we have to do this basic Achmana or?
Yeah, it takes 10 seconds. Om Kishmaya Namo, Om Narayana Namo, Om Madhavaya. So you do that before each session, I guess you could say. It's not that you need to do it, like oftentimes we're following every Bhoga offering directly with an Aarti, oftentimes, at least in the temple. So we'll do Achman, you know, just in the beginning, not that we do it before the Bhoga offering and then before the Aarti and then before each, not like that. Because we're staying pure, we haven't left the altar, we haven't gone and done anything else. So we just do it that one time.
Like morning, like we do like Bhoga, then Aarti, so just one time before the Bhoga and then.
That's sufficient.
So Prabhuji, after offering bhogas also we have to do this Achman? After offering bhoga and then we are taking the bhogas. So we need
Just at the beginning is sufficient. Yeah, just at the beginning. See, purity, Atma Suri, we'll get more into this tomorrow. Please come. It goes from gross to subtle, right? From the gross standpoint, you know, we have to take a bath after going to the bathroom or being, you know, doing any dirty things. You know, so there's taking a bath. There's also cleanliness of cloth. But then it gets more and more subtle, right? So we get more, there's methods to get more and more refined in our purity. Some of the most subtle aspects of purity is the purity of the mind, right? Mind and body. It's a package that we've gotten coming to this material world and being conditioned. So there's even other aspects for purification, such as, like, you remember that term was mentioned, Bhuta Suri? So there's some different rituals for that. One simple, straightforward ritual we do for this more subtle purification before we may do some worship is we chant this mantra that Rupa Goswami came up with, and that is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita, where basically we're saying we're none of these different upadis, material designations. We're saying that we're not a brahmana, vaishya, sudra. We're not, you know, a brahmachari, a sannyasi, or grihastha. We're none of these varnas and ashrams, but we're ultimately servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord. So we fix our consciousness and we meditate dhyan on our eternal nature, rather than I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm tall, I'm short, I'm here, I'm from here or there. Naham vipro nacha narapatir napi vaishyo nasudro naham varni nacha grepatir navanostu yunirva kintu prodyan nikila paramananda puna vrita vir gopi bhaktur padakamalayor dasa dasan dasa. So